What's the main differences between human language and what monkeys or birds use? So it's not, I know we spoke about it a little before, but we understood it's not exactly a language. So
Yeah.
what would be the main
Well, what
differences?
they, right. Their system of communication is usually consists of a form of discrete signals.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Interestingly enough, one of the great pioneers in the study of this was the late ornithologist Peter Marler. And Marler noted the difference between bird songs and bird calls,
Hmm.
whereas bird calls are just these kind of uh, just spurts of noise that they make. Usually, they can be formed into emotional signals like alarms. But
Mm-hmm.
Marlowe also noted that among songbirds, songs are used as a means of are usually used by males as a form of attract females.
Uh-huh.
And just like peacock feathers and peacock behavior, in terms of peacocks attracting peahens, the more complex and florid and variety of a song was a definite factor in terms of male songbirds attracting the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So Marler extended this and looked at other systems of communication and saw that there are certain features of language that have no counterpart or don't appear in in other species. And this is reflected in our anatomy. When our bodies became upright, we became bipedal.
Which is
Our larynx, which sits at the back of our throat, which basically is functions as a swing gate between our esophagus and our trachea,
mm-hmm.
became an active organ in terms of producing sound, and led to the fact that as our brains became more complex, our muscular development in terms of the muscles in our face and the regions inside our mouth became better adapted to using language.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a sense, we human beings are kind of adapted for language. And unfortunately, even our closest relatives, the bonobos, just don't have those features.
Mm-hmm.
They have very sophisticated means of communication, and but they lack that recursive feature that distinguishes grammar in our human language.
So would you say that the main difference would be grammar, or the fact that you can talk about the future, you can talk about the facts, the past, or
Yes, these are all features that we have. It's called displacement that we have in language that we see no counterpart.
mm-hmm.
So, for example, uh, vervet monkeys have a series of very discrete signals. If they see a raptor flying, they will let out a series of kind of chugging noises.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they see a snake, they'll let out a more kind of a chirping noise.
Mm-hmm.
But these are not really, there's not much really varieties. For example, in laboratory tests, they've tried to, combine these, and they've tried to do these in different ways, and they're very discrete. So you don't see any ability to manipulate those signals. It's just like they're hardwired to hear that and react. Well, we do have many of those same kinds of Like, for example, our reaction to snakes is one in which 99% of the people that see a snake have an immediate emotional reaction.
Mm-hmm. So in a way, do you can say that monkeys or whatever they have, is that a first form of a language? Is that like the way a language might start or might form? Or it doesn't mean anything about like an ability to communicate?
Well, the thing is that what we have seen is that these primates have been able to acquire kind of a laundry list of different things, and actually in some cases can actually recognize the sound.
Mm-hmm.
But the extent in which they are able to incorporate them and use them among themselves, certainly in a natural sense, there have never been any cases of that seen. One of the more successful of these animal trainers were a couple that lived in Nevada, the Gardeners, who raised a chimpanzee female and taught her a whole series of signs.
Right, like symbols. Yeah.
Yes, different kinds of signs, basically using American Sign Language.
Mm-hmm.
But sign language is, in general, are based on the same grammatical structure as spoken language. The only difference is that instead of using noise and sound, you use bodily movements, generally the hands and the face.
So, in a way, you can say that sign language is a language would also mean that whatever monkeys are using is also a form of a language. Is that
No,
right?
it's more a kind of a rudimentary performance of recalling a series of signals. But in terms of being able to put these individual signals together and create something meaningful,
Like to a
beyond
sentence.
beyond a come tickle me or give me a banana,
Right.
no, doesn't get to that level.
That makes total sense.
Right.